Hannity was the unnamed third client of President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen. Hannity didn't disclose that, even though he's been ardently defending Cohen and attacking everybody who's investigating and looking at Cohen. Now, this comes as there's a new Washington Post report that says that White House staffers say that the Fox News host has been dubbed the unofficial chief of staff. All right, let's just talk about how important Hannity is to the administration and what that means for a news organization. We have CNN senior media correspondent and host of Reliable Sources, Brian Stelter, and CNN media analyst Bill Carter. We were talking before the segment about how relevant Sean Hannity has become, and I was obviously trying to suggest that I think he's the biggest the right wing has ever had, and you gave me a good qualification, on TV. Rush Limbaugh on radio, okay, maybe he hasn't eclipsed him yet. But knowing that this is what Fox News largely wants to be, is the mothership, is the controlling agency of all things that are positive for Donald Trump, why wouldn't they stand by Sean Hannity if he's really just succeeded at being that proxy for the president?
Yes, and it's more than that because he's obviously their rainmaker. He's their biggest attraction. So they're going to stand by him. I think what's interesting is has he told them everything? I still wonder, has he actually come clean with them? Wouldn't they at least say to him, now tell us what they're going to find if they go through all of those
Wouldn't they want plausible deniability when they can say, we didn't know about any of this?
Well,
I mean,
maybe,
we've heard them say things like that in the past.
What boss wants to be surprised by his employee? I think
you could argue this one, Bill.
Maybe.
Because look, Allison's dead on this.
Yeah.
So they say, hey, you know, he was working with Michael Cohen. Do you know? No, we didn't know. We're surprised by this. But we stand by him. We don't think it's a big deal. They let it play out. There were no real teeth to the allegation other than the suggestion, which is obvious. He should have disclosed. Doesn't matter if he's a journalist or if he's a puppet master. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And they got away with it.
Well, they always get away with it with their audience. The audience is always, I don't think they got away with it in general. I think a lot of people have looked at this and said, this is just flat wrong. I mean, you're not supposed to be doing this. And if you're a journalism organization, which they still purport to be, they are on the wrong side of this issue.
Well, Fox is two networks in one. It's a news broadcaster, but it's also this giant opinion broadcaster. And that creates so many tensions. This is a great example of the tensions. There are staffers inside Fox that aren't happy with Hannity, that feel this was embarrassing for Fox, that feel this should have been disclosed. They're not comfortable having to work with him as a colleague. So there's that tension all the time. He's highly rated, but it causes huge headaches. And I don't know if this doesn't have teeth. I don't think we know yet exactly what was going on between Hannity and Cohen. We've heard the denials. We've heard them downplaying it. But something doesn't add up here. So I think we're going to have to wait until the investigators get to the bottom of this. And if anything is shared through the Cohen investigation about Hannity, there's no reason to believe there will be, but there is some reason why Cohen's lawyer had to disclose Hannity's name, right?
And why they didn't want to do it. They fought against releasing that name. It would have been very simple if Hannity come out in public and said, yeah, my name will come up in this because I had a minor conversation with the guy.
The government, the media, a lawyer that was representing a consortium of media, including CNN, and the judge compelled Cohen and his attorneys to come up with the names of the clients because there's a battle about whether or not this is a business transaction that the government's looking at or legal practice. And that's where all the confidences and all that stuff come on. So they were like, well, if you're practicing law, let's hear who your clients are. That's how it came to be.
Interesting, because that same question of, what is this? What is Sean Hannity? Is he a newsman? Well, he says no. Is he an opinion guy? Is he the president's shadow chief of staff? I thought the Washington Post reporting was so interesting because it really portrays this television host as someone who should be in the White House organizational chart, who's someone who essentially has a desk at the White House. We haven't seen that before in media.
Let's talk about that.
People brought up Ben Bradley, for example, being close to John Kennedy. Right? Ben Bradley was a reporter, and he was, friendly with him before it was, but he was not like in the White House constantly talking to him. In fact, he wound up being exiled for a while because he said something critical about it. Sean Hannity is not in that position. It's a very different situation.
Let's talk about the Washington Post reporting, okay? So it's that the president and Sean Hannity have multiple conversations, phone conversations a day. Sean Hannity, so these staffers believe, gives the president policy advice, gives the president all sorts of
staff advice,
staff advice. And the president gives Sean Hannity show advice, acting as his EP for the show. And this is their symbiotic relationship that they've had for a long time, but it is unprecedented.
I guess maybe this is going to be the new normal, that presidents will always have a favored television show that they're secretly kind of helping, Trump publicly promotes it. Maybe he secretly produces it as well. Maybe that's going to be the new normal. But
one pushback. Right. One pushback. And full disclosure, I'll be at 9 o'clock. Sean Hannity is there. I've been watching his show more, trying to get a feel for it.
Right.
Full disclosure, Morning Joe is opposite us for MSNBC in the morning. How's this different than Morning Joe? Remember in the days of the Glow when he and Mika spoke to Trump all the time, had him on, discussed what questions to talk about in the break, and they were the Trump whisperer.
Was he a candidate then?
He was.
Sure.
Yeah, he was
But you're saying that shouldn't matter.
I'm saying what Hannity is doing, I get why it bothers people.
Yeah.
But Morning Joe was applauded for his relevancy, and look how they have Trump on.
I think he got a little.
I don't know. I was watching the headlines very closely because I believed it worked against us here because we didn't have that kind of access because we weren't with Donald Trump all the time.
Right.
And now it's suiting them to do the opposite. That hasn't been called out either, right? The relationship.
Answer that, Brian Stelter.
Isn't the difference that he's now president and Hannity is providing us shelter from the storm? That yes, the Morning Joe relationship when he was a candidate was curious and was certainly deserving of scrutiny. But now he's the president. And now you have the president of the United States who's able to use this shelter on Hannity's show every night. You know, every single day Hannity says, Mueller's corrupt, he's got to go, he's got to go. The repetition every single night has an effect.
I wonder who taught him that.